Hello, hopefully you are doing well. Together, let's consider different types of truth. If you study contemporary analytical philosophy, you will soon discover that there are three primary types of truth that are generally considered. First, we have semantic truths, and this can be broken down into analytical truths versus synthetic truths. Second, there are epistemological truths. This is broken down into a priori truths versus a posteriori truths. And third, there are metaphysical truths. And this is broken down into necessary truths versus contingent truths. So let's consider each of these in turn. So first we have our semantic truths. Now, semantic truths deal with the meaning of words. On the one hand, we have analytic truths, and an analytic truth is simply true by definition. Consider that a triangle has 3 sides, or a square has 4 sides. Those truths are guaranteed due to the meaning of those words. Or take the classic example, all unmarried men are bachelors. That's an analytic truth, but what about synthetic truths? Well, we can note that synthetic truths are not analytic truths, or in other words, a synthetic truth is not simply true by definition. Consider that the Earth has 7 main continents. Or consider the statement that dogs as pets are loved by many humans. That's not true by definition. Now, sometimes, to be sure, there may be indeterminate cases where it's not exactly clear if we have an analytic truth or a synthetic truth. But what about epistemological truths? Now, epistemology is a branch of philosophy. It's about how we know what we know. It considers in part how we obtain knowledge in the first place. With epistemological truths, unlike semantic truths, we're not considering the meaning of words, but rather the different types of knowledge that we have. On the one hand, we have a priori truths, and on the other hand, we have a posteriori truths. An a priori truth is something we can know prior or before experience. Analytic truths are a priori truths, in fact, because we don't need extensive experience to discover something that is just given to us as a definition. But we have to be careful here, however, because an a priori truth does not imply that we need no experience whatsoever in the world to know a truth as a priori. However, an a priori truth can be known from the armchair, so to speak. We can close our eyes, reflect very carefully, and arrive at this a priori truth. Consider that a triangle has 3 sides. Consider that a square has 4 sides. We learned of these definitions from our teacher. But there was no need whatsoever to go out in the world to find concrete triangles and concrete squares to know the truth that a triangle has 3 sides, that a square has 4 sides, etc. Or take this example. 7 times 7 is 49. Clearly, that's an a priori truth. You or I don't need to go out in the world and count individual blocks to discover that 7 times 7 is 49. So knowing that truth in no way depends upon empirical research, and by the way, no empirical research could refute a truth like this as a basic truth of basic arithmetic. Now, what about a posteriori truths? Here, indeed, we need relevant experiences. How do we know that the Earth has one natural satellite, namely the Moon? Clearly, we have to take a look and observe. Or how do we know that there are 7 continents? So we have an a posteriori truth. We need experience. And finally, we have metaphysical truths. On the one hand, we have necessary truths, and on the other hand, we have contingent truths. When it comes to metaphysical truths, we cannot understate the importance of the late philosopher and logician Saul Kripke. Before him, many people would have thought that the distinction between epistemological truths versus metaphysical truths is a distinction without a difference, or they would think that the only thing that would count as a necessary truth is an a priori truth. But he said, no, there are a posteriori necessary truths. And he helped revive metaphysics in philosophy in the academic world. So we have our necessary truths and we have our contingent truths. Now, a necessary truth cannot be false, whereas a contingent truth could have been false. Kripke taught us that not all necessary truths are a priori truths. There are some necessary truths that are a posteriori truths. Consider that water is H2O. Now, that's a necessary truth. Otherwise, it simply would not be water. Period. End of story. So it's necessary. It is nonetheless an a posteriori truth, because scientists had to do a lot of work to find out that it is H2O. If you go back many centuries ago, people didn't know that water is H2O. Or consider that Marianne and Anthony are the parents of George. This is a necessary truth, since without them, I would not have been born. Yet it clearly is an a posteriori truth. The next example comes from Saul Kripke himself. 1 meter has been defined in terms of 1 platinum rod in Paris. Now, this is true by definition. It's true by fiat, by convention. It is a contingent truth. But notice it's true by definition. So it's a priori, and Kripke is absolutely right. Finally, consider that the essential properties of things have a necessity to them. We've considered that water is H2O. But we can also think about you or me as being human and having properties that make us human. There's a necessity to those properties, even though we are contingent beings that might never have been born. So there you have it. There are 3 kinds of truth. In contemporary analytical philosophy, we consider semantic truths, epistemological truths, and metaphysical truths. I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching. I'm the Amateur Logician from amateurlogician.com.